right, welcome to this quiz, another quiz. Love these quizzes. So, here we go. All right, now this is a good one. So, we're going to still stick with crude oil, no particular reason other than we haven't done it for a while. So, we're picking on this market for right now. Okay, got my global crosshairs back on, which I hate. But they're good for teaching purposes. All right. So this down here, actually, let me get them off of this. So, and bring up the other drawing tool. It is easier. All right. So now we've got a wave 5 and a wave 6. Trend is still up. Now, normally we say, oh, we're only going to trade in the direction of the trend for 5 waves. But this one takes off. In fact, I got to take that off, otherwise I can't show you the future of the chart. So this one goes up 7, and then from 7 to 8, and 8 to 9, oh my gosh, that's where it really takes off, right? And then that's all she wrote. But wow, did it really take off there? And so we would want to get that money. All right, so here is the question. Here is the quiz. How would you know that it would be okay to buy that cycle low and to catch that big money and catch the rest of that big trend? So that's the question. And again, as in previous quizzes, as we always do, write down everything that you can think of, all the pluses and the minuses, both sides, weigh the two together, and then come up with whether you would take the trade or not based on the pluses and minuses as they weigh against each other. All right, so that's it. Oh, I do want to say, too, that, again, please do stop the video and do it, and don't just listen to my answer. And also, as I mentioned in passing there, write it down. Instead of just answering it in your head, I will tell you, and I know this kind of stuff is not the fun, sizzle, shiny object stuff, but if you write it down, if you write down your answers, you will actually get a bigger benefit from this. In fact, you might want to do the Ben Franklin, the Ben Franklin technique where you draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper and you put all the pluses on one side and all the minuses on the other. So that was what Ben Franklin, can't talk tonight, been a long day, and it's late at night that I'm doing this, 11:30 p.m. But anyway, that's how he would make decisions, at least reportedly. So, yeah, do that. Write it down. You will get more benefit out of it if you actually write it down than if you just think about it in your head. I promise you, you really will. Part of it is committing to it, because in our minds, if you just think of it in your mind, we all have this tendency, myself included, after we hear the answer, to kind of say, oh, yeah, that's what I meant, or that's kind of what I thought, or I kind of knew that, or whatever. But if you write it on a paper, the pluses and the minuses, and what I say then is not on that piece of paper, then you did not think of it. And there's no way out. You're stuck. But again, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about learning, right? We're here to help you learn. I want you guys to not need me anymore. I want the student to surpass the master. Okay, so that's it. I'll pause for a few seconds here. You pause the video for as long as you need. Again, this is not a timed quiz. So go ahead, pause the video now, get out your piece of paper, and come back whenever you're ready. Well, welcome back. All right, hopefully you did that for your own sake. And now here is the answers. Here are the pluses and the minuses as I see them. So let's take that off so that I can, first of all, bring up the global crosshairs again here. We had them before. So a couple of things. First of all, we don't get confirmation, and you may not have been able to see this very well, but we don't get confirmation until this bar here. So again, if hopefully you can see the tracking, because there's really no other way I can do this, but the global crosshairs, and this is actually okay. But the global crosshairs, if we look for confirmation on the chart on the right side, which is where we need mom to angle up, on that bar we don't have it. On that bar we don't have it. On that bar we do have it. So we would have to wait and enter when, tick in this case, because it's a futures market, one tick above the high of that bar. And is that okay? Yes, that is okay. Why? Because the rule is that the setup bar, that's what that is, the setup bar, the bar we enter above, must have D below 45. And it does. And so we're okay. Sometimes people, in fact, this is an answer to a question that's come in. I've had a couple of people ask me, well, how many bars is it too late for you to enter into a cycle low or conversely a cycle high? And there's no set number of bars. The rule is the level of percent D has to stay below 45 to go long, stay above 55 to go short on the setup bar, not the entry bar, but the setup bar. And it does. And so you're okay. Now let me move the global crosshairs here again to make a point. So now, because when I have the global crosshairs, it covers the bars, you can't really see them. So we're really risking the range of less than 2 bars because the setup bar there is inside the bar before it, right? That little doji, that was the setup bar. The bar before it, well, again, that's an inside bar to that one, so we're not risking any more range of a bar. And this is kind of what I like to do now. This is not a set rule, but I typically am risking the range from high to low of a bar to a bar and a half. Now, so we're definitely risking the whole range of this bar here, and we're risking part of the range of that bar there because these two bars overlap by, that amount there, right? Let's see if we can draw that in. So you can see it. Okay. It basically the lower wick of that candle, or the lower shadow, whichever term you prefer, is overlapping with the bar before it. So our risk is, now it's going to get real messy. In fact, let me just expand this. This is what I probably should have done in the first place. So this is our risk. There we go. Our entry is right there, and our protective stop would be below the low of that bar. Now, the other thing you have to add to this is not just the number of bars, definitely not the number of bars at all, or the range of how many bars, but you also, and percent D being below 45, but there's one other factor that you have to take into consideration that's really the most important, and that is what percentage of your trading account are you risking? So you might be risking just the range of 1 bar, but if that's a really wide range bar, then that might be more than, say, 2% of your trading account that you're risking on that trade, and therefore for just pure money management rules, you cannot take that trade. Again, that's all in Foundations Course 1. All right, so good time to point that out, and again, answering questions that have come in about that. So as far as the long-term chart lining up, yes, you're okay with that. But as far as this short-term chart, there's no reason to enter. There's no reason to enter. So no good reason to enter. So, yep, it does go up. It goes to the moon. Goes all the way to yesterday's low, goes up a little bit higher, and then, plays around with yesterday's low. And this is typical. It when you get that kind of exuberance, it'll go a little higher, especially on a really short-term chart like a 202 chart like this. But the point is that, yep, it went. In fact, I'm going to leave that there just to make the point. So here's what happens to us psychologically. Psychologically, we see something like this and we say, dang, I got out, maybe you were long and you got out at wave 5, and then you see, I could have had all this extra money, and you get what's called trader's regret. You cannot, it's a very well-known phenomenon, and everybody's tempted by it. We've all suffered from it at some point or another. But here's the deal, my friends. That was not a high probability long trade. It wasn't early in a trend. There was no momentum shift pattern there. There was no reason to take that trade from a high probability statistical point of view. Therefore, in top dog trading, based on my rules, no, you shouldn't take the trade. It's very cut and dried. It's black and white. No. Okay. So, told you I might give you some examples where you shouldn't have taken the trade, and you might start looking for, dang, why? I can't see why. Or maybe you came up with some reasons to do it. And that's the worst thing. If you came up with a reason why you should take that trade, you're in big trouble. Because you shouldn't have taken it, at least not based on my rules. There's nothing in the top dog trading rules that would tell you to take that trade. And as far as a trader's regret of missing out on those big profits, hey, here's the answer to that. The trading is all about probability scenarios. We are trading probabilities, which by definition means the market's going to do something other than our probabilities periodically. And so you have to expect that. So sure, sometimes it's going to go more than 5 waves. Okay, so what? If you start trading the exception to the rule, then by definition, you are taking low probability trades. So by definition, trading probabilities is not certainties, and so other stuff will happen. Also by definition, the probability is the rule. And also by definition, the exception to the rule is a low probability trade. And you can't look at it and say, oh, how could I have made money? Or I could have made money. No. It may be one time. Yeah, this time. But this time means nothing. What matters in trading is consistency. And I think you probably know that, right? I do hear a lot of traders being aware of that, of being consistent in their trading. And you become profitable consistently when you only take high probability trades and you let the rest go. You cannot let this mess with your mind. You cannot. You cannot try to reverse engineer that and say, how could I have caught this? And this is what I see people do all the time. And then they start questioning the trading method because they say, oh, but it didn't catch the whole move. Yeah, it caught the whole high probability move. You always got to keep in mind trading probabilities. Think in terms of probabilities, never in terms of one example. All right. So hopefully that was helpful for a lot of you. A little bit of a tricky question there. Did that on purpose. Hope you don't mind. But it was for a learning experience that I know a lot of people, well, really all traders need to know. So, I had to learn that the hard way too. Listen, everything I teach you, every problem that I address, I've had. Right? And pretty much every trader that goes through this, we've all gone through the same stuff, all had the same challenges, both with, technical analysis and the psychology and all the same stuff. So it's common. You're not experiencing anything the rest of us haven't experienced. I'm giving you the answers, and you're the only one who can give you the gift of adhering to the rules.